and you don't see that today. So, so now today, even with all of this high tech equipment, so many of us still can't get it together. So, for instance, I used to watch my dad fix things. Whenever something broke, he would get his tools and he'd get into it, man. The car, the TV set, he knew how to do all of that. He would just get behind that TV and pop a latch, and there was a whole panel that just slid out. And I'm just watching, man, like, wow, because I didn't even know the TV came apart like that. But he had meters and testing equipment, and he could hold stuff over the screen and adjust the colors of the screen just by holding these magnetic devices over the screen and moving these gauges around, and it changed the whole screen. And then he could find the one part that wasn't working with these little needles and meters, and the needle would be bouncing around, and it would tell him what worked and what didn't. And he could read all of that data just by the numbers and the meters, and he knew what it all meant. And he usually kept a stockpile of different parts that he needed in like a utility room. And he could just go get a new resistor, transistor, whatever that he needed, a vacuum tube, whatever he needed, just little tubes and stuff. And he could just pop it in. If whatever was broke, he'd pop it in and replace it, and all of a sudden it worked again. But if he didn't have it, he would take me with him a lot of times to the electronics store, and he would just buy new parts. Now, back then they had these little parts store because a lot of men were doing that kind of repair work back then. So it was a big thing. That was big business. We're talking like in the pre-90s. And so many men would get into it, black, white, Latino, it didn't matter. This is just what it was. And so they were all into it. He'd come back with the new parts, with the new components. And sometimes these little things was just a little bit bigger than your fingernail, man. They were like the size of a pencil eraser. And it was just little small bits, just real, something that big, and he'd get like a pack of like 7 or 8 of them. And he had these little wires coming off, and he could bring that back, and he could install that, and he could solder that into place. You can look up soldering and find out how to solder and what that means. And he knew how to do all of that and started showing me how to do it. But that's how they got down back then. They got down into the nitty gritty soldering, electrical taping up your electrical connections, working with all the little wires. He knew how to do all of that. So, but I don't hear anybody talking about anything like that today. You don't really see that. That was the thing back then, but I don't see it today. So, within an hour, he'd have that TV working like new, or have the radio installed in the car dash. He did it all. That was his thing. He knew how to do that, man. He could just knock it out. One of the main electronic stores that he would go to back then was called Radio Shack. You could literally walk in there and buy those like I said, those little packets, okay? But they also had hobby kits, little kits that you could buy and make your own radio, walkie-talkies. You could make a little radio, and they have you connect the wires and everything, and hook batteries into it. And by the time you got done, you could pick up radio from the air and tune in to different stations and stuff with these little kits. And once you got done playing with that, you could take all the wires out and rewire it into a walkie-talkie or something, or rewire it again into something that could send out signals you could transmit on or whatever. You could reconfigure it to do whatever you wanted to do. These little kits, they were for children, and that's what it was for, is for people that wanted to build or repair almost anything. So that was Radio Shack. They opened in 1921. And they were doing big business all those years. And that just proves how sharp those people were back then. Then in 2015, they went out of business because people weren't on that level anymore. A lot of people didn't know how to do the work. The stores couldn't maintain keep the doors open, keep the lights on, because the people weren't there. They had lost their customer base. So those people, around in that time frame, no longer had the skills or the knowledge to do the work. So there's a lot of other still high-level projects today that you could get into, but not a lot of people know about it. And again, that's what I want to do with this channel, is to hit you on the things that have never been put out here to you. It's not that anybody is hiding it from you, but they aren't advertising it either. So, for instance, most of us enjoy playing video games. But did you know that you could be making your own video games? Have you noticed that most people don't have a computer anymore because they think that all they need is the cell phone? They got the phone, they got uh, the little $400 laptop that somebody gave them, and they barely know how to turn it on. They don't know what to do with it. Just have it sitting in the corner somewhere collecting dust. And most people think that's all they need. They don't look any further. They don't care about it. They don't want to hear about it. They get on the phone and they're good. But you can never be truly productive. That's the key word, productivity. You can never be truly productive with just a phone and maybe a $400 laptop, $500 laptop. You can't do anything with that. But did you know that you can actually build your own computer from the ground up, from individual components, and you could actually make that more powerful than anything that you can get off the shelf at Best Buy? You could actually build something that doesn't exist in the store, more powerful than anything that you can get from the store. You can, and it's not that difficult. Did you know that you could literally start making your own games and your own software? So again, talking about doing for yourself, that was Malcolm's whole thing. So a lot of people lost the message that Malcolm was delivering, which was that, he really, very rarely, he really didn't talk about, a lot of people think he was just talking about white people this and white people. That really wasn't his real message. His real message was really just trying to get black people on point. And so one of the things he was talking about was his main message was do for self. Whatever you want done, do it. That was really his main thing. So that's going to be a show. We're going to get into kind of an introspective, a deep study of Malcolm and bring his message back. Because again, a lot of what's going on today, solutions were already given. Just the people back then didn't want to hear it. And so we don't even know what it was today. We don't even know what the message was today. The solution is out there. Problems of the day have already been solved. We just never heard it. So that's something that I'm going to get into at some point, put back out there for you. But so in terms of doing for self, so a lot of people hate Microsoft. They hate Microsoft Windows. But nobody's trying to develop an operating system that's better than Windows. See? Why not? If Bill Gates did it, why can't you do it? Is he better or smarter than you? Or did you not even know that you had the option? See? Because there's some super genius prodigies out there who could write an operating system better than Windows, but they don't have a computer. They don't know how to write the code, but the potential is there. They have the ability to do it, but they don't know they have it because they don't have the equipment and they never tried. They never even thought about trying to do it. But if they had C++, which is the code that all of these programs are being written in, you can actually go buy the program C++ and start learning the code, master the code, and basically write anything you want. You could write a new version of Windows, a new version of Macintosh operating system, start writing your own games. You could write, if you can write code, you literally can master the computer and make it do anything you want. You could come up with your own computer. You could invent a new computer. You just have to learn the code. It's like learning another language. That's really, literally what it is. It's another language. And you could master learning that language. But a lot of people don't know, and they never try. But everything that you need is already out there, just waiting on you to come pick it up. So if they had C++ in their computer, some of these people could really pose a problem for Microsoft. They could pose a problem for Apple. So these opportunities in supercomputers, they aren't even advertised. You don't see any of this stuff on TV. But if you go to Best Buy or Walmart, you'll see a $400 laptop, maybe a $700 desktop. A lot of people don't even know the difference between a laptop and a desktop. Again, we'll get into all of that down the road. But did you know that there's computers out there that can cost you over $40,000? These are real computers that you can go get right now. $30,000, $40,000 computers, $3,000 computers, $5,000 computers. They're out there. Whatever you want is there. But you didn't even know they exist. These commercials are not on TV for this stuff. Which, why not? Because the audience for it is not really that large. It's not there. The people that are into it, already know about it, and they're already buying them and they're already using them. And that's where a lot of the stuff that you're using is coming from. It's coming from them doing their masterful work and putting it out and selling it to you, and you don't even know the stuff exists. So if you start getting into what they're doing, you too can become a computer master, a guru, a technical genius, and could be putting out your own computers, your own operating systems, your own software. And that's the information that you've been missing all this time. This kind of thing is what the father used to usher in and teach to his children, especially the sons, like mine did with me. But like I said, a lot of people don't know who their fathers are because the mothers didn't know, or she told you that you didn't need a father. You don't need no father. I'm the father and the mother. Okay, well then if all you needed was her, then she should have already have shown you all this information. She should have already have told it to you. See, none of this should be news to you if your mother gave you all this. But don't worry about it because I'm going to hit you onto all of that. And so now again, you can see what this channel is about and why it's going to be very different from a lot of other channels and what's already out there. So make sure you click subscribe and notify because the upcoming show on supercomputers is just going to be one show. I'm going to do another one dedicated specifically to the importance of the father. And we're going to be doing some lighter fares, and everything don't have to be deep and heavy like that. We'll be doing some movie reviews, game reviews, and games you never heard of. I'm telling you, there's some stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff out there. You just really have never heard of it. And I'm going to be putting all of the stuff out there, and it's just about to start jumping. So if you never watch another one of my videos, I'd like everybody to at least go and build something of your own. You go do that, and my mission is accomplished. I built my first computer from the ground up in 1998 from spare parts that I ordered online. I ordered everything from separate places to get the best prices, and I ended up with like 20 boxes piled in the corner. Then over an extended holiday, we had one Christmas or something like that, Thanksgiving, it was a long holiday. So I had all this free time, so that's when I put it all together. And it was scary too because just the motherboard alone, the main board of the computer, cost over $1,600. So it all had to be done right the first time because if I had done something wrong and blew out that main board, it would have all been over and done just with the press of a button instantly. You don't get a second chance to blow your main board out. But I got it all together and I finally pressed that power button for the first time and it lit up and worked, man. Just bam, the whole computer came on and it worked the first time. I was so happy. But man, what a feeling to build your own computer with no classes or training. And that's my message to you, is to just try it. So to help you along with that, in the description box, I am going to include a few links that you can check out. And one of them is for a YouTube channel that I found called Hacksmith. It's where these young Tony Stark type geniuses all get together and bring these crazy ideas into reality using high-tech equipment of modern day today. So for instance, they built a working lightsaber. They built Iron Man's helmet. It's actually like a real helmet that, with all the heads-up displays in the eyes and optical displays. And so they actually built one just to see if they could. They built a bat signal that they could shine up onto the clouds and actually see a real bat signal. So it's not just building a big light and putting a bat signal in front of it. And then that was amazing where they showed that can't work. You would never see it. It would never work. You would just see a beam of light going to the sky. You would never see the bat signal. So how do you get that symbol to appear on a cloud? And they actually figured out how to do it. So stuff like that. So I'm going to send you and put the link for that in the description, so you'll have that. And so that's what I want to see more people doing, is buying tools, power tools, building supercomputers in their home, and then teaching their children how to do it. Have you ever seen a show on the History Channel called Forged in Fire? They get these guys on there who can do blacksmithing, and they just take random hunks of metal and they melt them down in these forges until they're like red hot. And then they hammer them together. They can make them into real knives and swords that can literally cut you in half just from these hunks of metal. So showing you, I guess, kind of how they were doing it back in medieval times and stuff. But the fact that people are out here with these kinds of skills are amazing. It's amazing. And we never hear anything about that. So Forged in Fire History Channel. So I'm going to put the links to that down there. And these are all free. You can just go there, follow that link, and just watch it. It's just really cool. So that's some of my favorite dinner time entertainment is to watch, Forged in Fire. Man, these dudes sit there sweating and everything, trying to make knives and swords and armor and stuff. And I like to build things. So it's amazing to me, So, and I'm not getting paid for any of what I'm telling you. I'm just telling you all of this just because I want to see things change. But I'm not getting any money from any of this. So, this is the solution to what's going on, out here today. But the government is forcing people to hand over their guns. So that's the solution, and that's not the answer. This is the answer: educating people up out of those levels of ignorance, and out of the communities, getting them out of the communities where this kind of thing takes place. Some people could elevate; they just didn't know that they should or could. So, but now this kind of thing, a lot of the stuff that's going on is moving into the upscale areas now, and that's not an accident either. I'm sure you've heard of problem, action, solution, right? So you can look that up, and that's a whole thing. Again, a whole nother topic. It's called the Hegelian dialectic, but problem, action, solution. So I create a problem for you, which results in some kind of an action, and then I give you the solution for the problem that I just created. That's been going on since, again, the beginning of time. So that goes back. There's tons of videos out there on that if you want to get into that. But yeah, so that stuff is out there, but that's not where we're going today. So a point is that we got to start somewhere, and this is the best way to start. So we got to take it further than where it's at. So if you don't like the music of the day, then you start making new music. Learn an instrument, take up the drums, start learning guitar, and once again, then get your children into it. Do all of it, and then get them into it. Nothing is stopping you, and you can never say you don't have enough money, because with just the money that people spend on liquor and weed, cigarettes, fancy cars, whatever, BMWs, Lexus, instead of buying that crap, purses and hair weave and all of this stuff, you could have all sorts of good things going on by now if you redirected that money into something more productive. So it's not about money. So if enough of us start getting into this kind of thing, then a trend can start, and this whole society can start going in another, a better direction. And it'll be a better direction than where it's going right now, way better. So it's just about making the change and deciding that that's what you want to do. So if it wasn't going on in the 80s, then why is it going on in 2022? See? So what changed between then and now? The biggest difference today, as opposed to yesteryear, is that today most of us don't have fathers, and nobody is ushering these people, least of all the children, into the world of skills, independence, productivity, and personal development. And stop calling them kids. Kid is a baby goat, and there's a reason why they call them that too, baby goats. So that's a whole other topic. But when I listen to radio and the TV, it's all over TV, and even in the movies and everything, they always refer to them as kids. So there's a reason for that. But again, that's a topic for later. So also in the description, I'm going to include a few links to show what happens when men have introduced their children to instruments, when the father was involved. What was the difference? What resulted when the father was actually there, was in the home with the child? How did the child come out, as opposed to a lot of what you're seeing today? Well, that is pretty interesting. So again, you're looking at one of them now, but I'm gonna show you some more, later. And there's a lot of people that can testify to what their father brought to their lives, and you get them to start talking about it, and it's when people start talking about their father, man, and they just start tearing up, and man, there's so many people that just really don't know what they missed out on by not having a father, and the detriment, the trouble that's being generated and caused by having an entire society, an entire fatherless society, that's doing something to the people. And you can look out here today, and I'm telling you, that's where a lot of it is stemming from. So I'd like to include a lot of these videos on here and show it to you while we're just sitting here talking, but I don't want copyright claims. So as you can see, we can go into so many different directions with this, and it can take off into so many different random branches with tons of information that we're all going to be getting into, dealing with, talking about different tools, different musical equipment, different building projects, movie reviews, game reviews. We're going to be getting into all of it. So I just want you to get your children into it. So then I say again, if you want to keep up with it and go on this journey of hidden knowledge and information, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when I post and you can come and join us and check it out. I've already got, I got so much ready for you. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I got so much that's already ready to go. I'm talking about dope merchandise ready to go for you. We're going to have our own chat rooms. It's all ready for you. I'm going to start hitting you with all of that. And I'm going to try to drop a new video at least once or twice a week. I have another channel. I had a channel years ago, and I got some complaints because the videos were like an hour long. So with these, I want to break these up into 10 or 15 minute segments. And then you can watch one part and then watch the rest later, or let them play back to back if you want. So that's going to be a little bit of a change from what it was. So some people like longer videos, some people like shorter videos. You can't please everybody, so I'm just going to have it in segments, and then you can do how you can do with it. But that's all I wanted to do today, was just to get the new gear warmed up, get some things started, introduce myself to you. And the last thing I want to make note of is I hope you like my introduction with the Hawk flying past, because that was all done in 3D computer animation using the same techniques that they use in Hollywood to make these big movies and games that you play. This is done using the same way. So I'm going to be hipping you into all of that, but that intro is only the beginning. There's actually a lot more to it, and it's pretty dope, man, I'm telling you. So that's all still in production, so just the first part is out there for that right now. But when that's ready, you're going to get to see the full intro of the Spectre of Truth with your new host, the Black Abbot. So click subscribe and notify, and I'll see you in a few. And we're going to get it heated up here in the Temple of Shadows. And that's what this all is. This is the Temple of Shadows, and the shadow represents the unknown, and the unknown is what I'm going to make known for you. Peace.